All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Experience More podcast. Pumped and excited to have each and every one of you guys joining with us this week because honestly, you guys have been waiting for it. I've had multiple solo casts here, but we do have a special guest joining us today. And I have to say, just before just kind of even introducing him, letting him go through and introduce himself, this is an individual I met at one of the shows that I've been able to go through and experience. And I think one of the coolest things of going to different shows, whether it's in the archery outdoor side of things or a shooting, summit or things like SHOT Show, this individual met the first time out there. Was one of those times where I didn't expect to meet this guy. But literally in the small window and time of interactions that we had of ultimately me getting him some energy drinks and all sorts of stuff for the crew and that, it would have seemed like would have known each other for a very long time. His energy speaks volumes about him, his interactions of not only how interacting with myself, but also others on the team and other people within the booth and where they are working. And it just speaks volumes of him. I hear numerous great things about him behind the scenes, which I think that is a huge play of just how someone's character is judged as like, what do people say about you behind closed doors? I don't know. I'm excited to be able to introduce you guys to Tony with OA Defense. And I know I'm going to butcher the last name. I believe
easy.
it's
It's easy.
Pignato.
Pignato. Yeah, it's
Pignato.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, it is. It's
All
literally
right.
Pignato. It's really easy, man. Yeah. If you're Italian, it's Pignato. But
Pignato. Yeah.
but I don't speak Italian either. I barely
right.
speak English, so
All
that's
right.
where
Hey.
I'm at.
All right. I don't feel as bad there. But dude, Tony, I'm pumped to have you on here. Tony has, supported the First Form Outdoors and First Form team and crew for a good minute. And I'm just excited to have you on here. Tell us about yourself a little bit.
Well, great, man. First thing, thank you. You're right. Fast friends, you find people who are like-minded individuals, and there's always an immediate connection.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate that connection and appreciate the relationship, and not only with you, but with Jared and the entire First Form family, and just really, it's you guys make some really wonderful stuff. I love your stuff. I said, but as I've said to other people, I said it's just a really good group of people, and that matters, man. Which is something we try to emulate at OA Defense. Is just, yeah, we make a good product. Got it. But that's not it. You want to have. It's more than just products. It's people. The process is like, and not just from the transactional aspect, but the way you take care of people, the way you address problems, the way you evolve as a company and improve what you do. And then for us, and I know you and I are like-minded in this, it's our mission statement is serve something greater, which is truly important as well, is understanding that everything that we have, the skills that we have, the abilities that we have, or we've developed over years, our bodies, everything we do, we didn't make this. We may have enhanced it. We may have put a different coat of paint on it, injected some Botox in it, and took a couple vitamins. But this was not we were not the creator. We were the created. And
Yes.
and so it's always great to talk to other like-minded individuals about stuff like that. So thank you. First thing, me, what's my golly, man? There's a lot. As you said, I'm the Chief Revenue and Strategy Officer for OA Defense. I've been with the company for about 8 months now. And I'm sure we'll get deeper into other stuff about, how I got here. But to talk to you first about where I'm at, and then we'll talk about how I got here. But I am absolutely in love with this organization. It's such a wonderful company. We just had our owner in town this week, and he's a man of God. He's a man of faith. He's a man of patience. I mean, he did hire me. So, and he's a man of strong integrity and values. And when you're in an industry that is, as all industries are, very, very transactional, when you look at an owner and you say, "Hey, man, we're going to have to transform before we transact," and he looks at you and goes, "That's exactly what I wanted to hear." And it's a single investor. It's a an estate business. Like, he's the sole owner, and that reverberates throughout the company. If you think about, like, our brand framework, and we kind of took us a while. I got here in, like I said, in November, and we kind of let the brand framework and the story develop. And what's really great about the way the story developed is we've walked a little bit in the wilderness. We've relied on sustenance and provisions, and guidance, and we've learned a lot from a higher source. And we've been fortunate that we're learning very, very fast. We're doing some incredible stuff. We've done a lot of things with the company and with the team that is notable, and I think it unifies us even greater. And about about 45 days, maybe a little bit longer, maybe 60 days ago, we really kind of lined out our brand framework, and it started with a mission statement that we could really rally around, and then we developed the entire brand framework from there. And our mission statement is, we exist to serve something greater, which,
Mhm.
it's not. When I looked at the team and I presented this, it was interesting. But the day I presented this to our executive team and the leaders in our quarterly board meeting, and I think this was in March, or April. Actually, it was in April. And I remember riding into work in my truck, and I was listening to my daily devotion, and I was in prayer. And what's funny is, I just kept rehearsing the brand framework, right? Like, just
Mhm.
talking about the brand framework and thinking about that statement of, we exist to serve something greater. And then something else resonated in me was, define greater. you know
Mhm.
um that mentality resonates through our entire organization. We're never going to be perfect. We don't expect to be perfect. I don't think there's any company in this industry that tells you they're perfect, is probably not being quite forthright,
Right.
or they're just not honest with themselves. We're not going to be perfect. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to try to handle every problem perfectly, and we're going to improve in the open. We're going to be transparent about where we are as an organization. And I think in an industry like this, that can be that way, that can flex a little bit, and it becomes, buy this and then buy the next one, is like being able to establish that kind of connectivity to people, and be able to operate under what I think is a very deep connection, from a more than just a physical aspect, or a mental aspect, or a social aspect, but in some cases a spiritual aspect, I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I'm just, every day I'm just inspired. I feel empowered. I'm humble, and I learn every single day. And we've got just such a really, really wonderful team of incredible human beings. And some of the statements that fill out our brand framework are, like, from one of our employees, that when he was asked to describe OA Defense, he said, man, we're a group of extraordinary individuals that have come together to do something good and noble for the betterment of others.
So
What? What?
you're like, how long do you
Like,
rehearse that?
put that
Like,
on a
yeah.
poster with, like, a monkey hanging there on one hand, and like, hang in there. It's like, I mean, it's just so great when we have a Bible study every Wednesday, and it's led by the guy with the hand tattoos. It's just, we're probably 90% veterans, or at least above 85% veterans, or married to veterans, or sons and daughters of
Yeah.
veterans. And we're about an hour outside of Fort Bragg, so we have access to an incredible pool of incredible talent. We have probably four interns from the local one from the engineering school that work with us. We got three incredibly smart engineers, and young kids are smart now, man. That, like,
Mhm.
dude, like, when seriously, like, before I joined the army, I was like chewing on rocks. Like, these kids are smart, right? And we got
Yeah.
little intern gunsmiths coming from the Montgomery Community College, and I mean, just, we're really connected to the community. We're in the town of Robbins, which is just a wonderful community. They love us. The chief of police stops by all the time, and They carry our guns, and they come by and joke with us and bust chops a little bit. So it's just I could go on for, but I'm absolutely in love with the company, and I say that not only affectionately but defensively, meaning like I love this company, right? And we hold each other to like a family. We hold each other to a very, very high standard. Last thing we want to do is embarrass a member of our family, and
Right.
it's pretty cool. So that's what I do now, and I'm the chief revenue and strategy officer, which is like three C suites in one, because marketing also falls under me. So,
Yeah.
but I've brought over a really good group of people from my network, and my CEO Chris Moore is just such a great partner in this organization, and our chief operating officer Mike Shook is probably one of the smartest guys I know. Don't tell him I said that, but
Right. Yeah.
super smart guy.
Yeah.
Chris is an incredible leader. We got a great owner. We've got great, middle leaders and senior leaders throughout the company. We just got such a wonderful, wonderful group. Great. Our business development team is just incredible. Our manufacturing. We got the whole team is just, we're learning, we're growing together, and we support each other. We're hard on each other. Right.
Yeah.
It's the great thing about it is we don't limit each other, but we push each other. Like, that's all great. It's a great conversation. I love the story time, but give me data.
Yeah.
Whenever you got an organization that's got this many Army guys and other service members in it, finding ideas is not hard. Like, hey
Right.
man, let's put a bayonet on the bottom. What about a grenade launcher? Would it be cool if we could do it where you could shoot with your phone? Like, stop, right? So you gotta reel that back, kick all the idea fairies in the teeth, and actually sit down with engineering and manufacturing. Goes, hey, this is a great idea. Is this possible? And
Right.
I really think we're at the point of being a super strong and continuing to grow and continue to be a super strong force in this industry.
Yeah. Well, and just even, I mean, kind of talking to that, and I'm gonna back it up just a second there, because you hit on something that I think is super important and ultimately will, for individuals following along, listening along as you watch OA Defense go and grow and create a bigger impact and serve something greater. Um, Really, you hit on the fact of that, right? That, like, that mission of serve something greater. And when I think about that, just in the first form realm, right? Like, we get it just in that ecosystem, like Sal, Andy get asked all the time, is like, how do you find so many great people and good people? Like, you get to go to work with some phenomenal humans, some phenomenal people. And I can tell just through you speaking about them, right? Like, it is something that is genuine and authentic.
Mm.
And it's the same within our ecosystem, to where it's like, how do you find those different people? And it's like, honestly, when you live that and uphold that kind of standard, like, those people find you, right? And like the right people mix and match within there. But dude, because I mean, I think of first form as like, we have like our mission and like our core values. Our big piece is like, we are built, like, really made and developed throughout our core values and the people that have really, like, grown together inside of that ecosystem. We always speak upon, like, hey, the uh the bond is built through the struggle, right? So to your point, like, leaning on different
Great
individuals,
point. Great
right?
point. Yeah.
Like that, I've had my butt chewed in different scenarios. And to your point, like, I'm probably one of those individuals, like, hey, Jake's smart here. Don't ever tell him that. I know there's other individuals that I'll say they're a hell of a lot smarter than me, but I never want you to tell them that either. Like, we push and pull each other to go and make great things happen. And within the first form piece, it's like, hey, we're here to help real people get real long-term lasting results. And it's always about other people. And to your point, very similarly, and you speak about that, it just reminds me of so much of like the ecosystem that I've been able to fortunately be a part of growing up within the last, 9-ish years that I've been within the ecosystem, coming over to like old headquarters, to where it's like all our battle stories, right? Of like, back when I first worked, there was like 3 of us in this little like 8x8 room, right? Trying to battle who can outspeak each other when we're doing different coaching calls and all this stuff. And then like Wi-Fi never being good enough for anything. And it's but that like that struggle and that bond to everyone who is still there, like we remember those times and ultimately bring that forward with everyone else inside of the ecosystem. And then, dude, the younger, because I mean, at in our facility, if we asked anyone inside of like one of our Monday meetings, like, hey, who's here, who's under 25, and it's like 75-80% of the room, right? And it's just wild. And I'm like, oh man, all right, but they're very smart individuals, but we always have that point of, and I'm sure similar effects, I would assume, is there has to be a development of the standard in which you guys hold, right, for everyone in
100%.
there. And it's making sure that you are leaning into that, you are developing those individuals, because that, I think, is something, and I'd like you to speak on it, like when it comes to culture development. Like, I think a lot of people think that's like a pool table and like video games and all that different stuff in there. Like for OA defense, right? Like,
We have a kale kitchen. No, that's not.
yeah,
That's not.
exactly.
That's
Like,
food, bro.
yeah. if maybe, but like for you guys in culture development in that way, like how do you guys go about developing that? Of course, having the mission that everyone can fall back on, right, as like a North Star. Like, where do you feel like the best like culture development happens inside of your ecosystem?
Well, I think I think it's a great question. I think there's a number of factors um, that make a great culture. I'm no expert at all. I speak to what the things that I like,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to be valued,
Mm-hmm.
and I try to make sure that, and other executives saying we try to make sure that our team knows that they're valued. Now, when you value the human asset, to think about it from an investment perspective, I think when you value that human asset, you invest in them not only in making sure that they're the right person for the job, you allow them the autonomy to develop their superpowers, and then you enable them, empower them, and give them the opportunity to succeed. I had a great mentor, a time. Then he had such a great story. He started off, basically from nothing. Paid his way through college with, working at, places, and bought a Fuddruckers, and then bought another one, and then bought three or four Fuddruckers, and then sold them all, and opened up a Irish whiskey pub in Columbia, South Carolina. And I remember I was sitting in his bar one night, and I'm sitting at the bar, and he's a diabetic, didn't even drink. And I was sitting there, and I had a beer, and I said, hey, man, I gotta go to the bathroom. I was sitting right next to him. I got up, went to the bathroom, and I came back, and it was college night. And I remember saying to him, I come back and go, dude, that's the cleanest bathroom I think I've ever been in my life, let alone in a college town of Columbia
Yep.
on a college night with the bar packed. And he looks at me like, well, yeah, that's my standard. And he goes, look around the bar. And he goes, do you see a drink on this bar that's not on a coaster? And I looked around, and I'm like, and I just watched one of the bartenders put a coaster under a drink.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, that's my standard. He goes, wait for a second, I want you to see something. And he's like, somebody walked in the door, and everybody within earshot said, hey, man, welcome to Delaney's. And he's like, that's my standard. And he goes, here's my thing. And he goes, this is my philosophy in a nutshell. And I thought it was genius. He says, first thing, he's like, you have to pay people. You have to pay them well. He's like, if you want good talent, you have to pay people well. He goes, so that's the first thing I do. He goes, the second thing I do is I teach them how to run a business, and I teach them how to run my business. He goes, if you look up and down this street, there's many of the people that own bars on this street that worked for me at one time or another during their career. And he's like, the third thing you do is you allow them the autonomy to make decisions in the best interest of my business. And he's like, the fourth thing you do is you hold them accountable. And he's like, you see the guy in the red shirt? And I go, yeah. And he goes, well, he's a manager. And I go, wow, he's doing a great job. He goes, no, he's a manager tonight. And he's like, see everybody in the blue shirts? I go, yeah. He goes, he goes, there's 7 total. Each one of them owns a night and they run the business for that night. And
Mm.
he's like, they're allowed to do the menu, they're allowed to do the drink specials, they're allowed to do the promotion, the marketing, the advertising campaign, who's on shift, they write the whole thing, the budget, everything. And he goes, and I allow him the autonomy to do that. And he goes, but there's one standard, it's my standard. And he said, he goes, because here's the thing about it. He goes, if I walk in here and I spot one drink not on a coaster, everybody gets fined $15. And he goes, if I notice somebody walks in the front door and everybody within, he goes, and I'm fair about it. He goes, somebody walks in the front door and does a $15. And he's like, if I go in the bathroom, it's a mess, the whole shit, $15. He goes, so I use peer pressure to ensure my standard. Now, to me, that's a technique, a tactic, and a practice. In our case, I think what we've done is we have one standard, which is serve something greater
Mm-hmm.
and defining greater. And I don't compare myself to Jeff at all, which is the guy, Jeff Witt, who ran the business. He's passed away many years ago, but what a wonderful human being. But but the point being is that if everybody has that North Star, has
Mm-hmm.
that guiding light, and understands where we're going in a business as a business and believes in it, I think it's inevitable that you're going to get people rowing in the same direction, but there's still human nature. So not everybody's going to buy in. You know, we're not going to come to work and everybody's wearing Nikes and all white and they drank the Kool-Aid and they're waiting for the spaceship to show up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every day and every element of the business has a different piece or a different stimulus, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've said this before in work with other companies. I'm like, the CEOs don't, in my opinion, know that level is so far removed from the actual worker guy.
Right.
It's the subordinate leadership. It's the team leaders. It's the shift supervisors. It's the middle managers. They have micro cultures that support the macro culture, and of course, the macro's got to have a vision. They've got to have a mission statement that unifies and provides a North Star. But you have to allow subordinate leaders to do just that, make decisions in the best interest of the business, and then hold people accountable. And I said, we're a New Testament company,
Yeah.
but we're not afraid to be Old Testament.
I like that. I like
Again,
that.
we're all about
Hey.
Psalms, man. We're all about let's get in, man. Let's
Yep.
hey, woohoo, right? It's like, but if we have to be a little bit more deliberate, we can. So, but
Yeah.
again, uh, you know, um, I think that's part of it is you have to value that, and you have to be patient. I think as a leader, and I think understanding that. I mean, whenever something we fail to do something, and it's part of maybe a department or a project I'm working on, I stop and I look back and I go, did I provide the absolute resources that somebody needed? Did I provide the right direction and motivation? And if I've done all that, then it's easy. It's just a
Yeah.
math problem.
Yep.
Then it's just competency or compliance. But if I've done everything I can, and there's just some people that just don't, that it just doesn't work, right? They're great people, they're wonderful human beings, but maybe they're just not right for the organization. Or they're not right for the organization right now. You have to you have to be good enough to say that, like, hey, maybe not the right person for the organization, but here's what I'm gonna do for you. I'm gonna write you a great letter of recommendation, or hey, here's a human resources recruiting company that's super great, and they're looking for people like you. And
Yep.
maybe it's just not working here, but again, it's nothing's perfect. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes all the time. That's why I'm so good at mistakes. But that's it. I mean, it's a long answer, but I think value is important. I think I have to feel valued, and I want people that work for us to feel valued. And sometimes it's as simple as saying thank you. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's probably a big part of it for me.
No, I love it. That like that trickle down effect is such a powerful piece to your point. Like, it gets to a point where in the beginning it's just you and that's your standard, right? As CEO or owner or anything like that. But it's who you have come into that. Like if you held that standard with them to where all of a sudden those individuals, right? That mid-level leadership, that next in line, they have and understand that standard. That's like, there's so many similarities between that mindset within First Form, and just like there were a lot of days where it sucked, right? When I first started, like, I'm not gonna lie, but that's also why we would do, like, we do Wednesday workouts, because it, like, Wednesday workouts for us is like, you could be the CEO or a brand new hire. You're all on an equal playing field because it all sucks together, and that bond is built through that struggle to ultimately figure out. And it's the one rule we've always had is like, you just like, it doesn't matter how long it takes. It doesn't matter what you got to do to get there. Is like, you just don't quit. And people show their real colors when they're in the midst of the suck, and how they handle themselves and also how they handle others. And it just creates that trickle down effect. But no, dude,
Well, it's,
it's
that's the shared common experiences, right? Is
exactly.
that if it was easy, everybody would be $1 billion company, right?
Yeah,
If it was
exactly.
easy, everybody would win the Super Bowl or be the
Right,
MVP. And sometimes it's just the MVP of the day. It's the
right.
MVP of the small things, like, hey man, I got all my lunches right for my kids, right? It's
Yep.
everything. Everybody wants to grade everything on this grand scale, and there's superheroes every day, that achieve greatness. And in the arena that they battle in every single day, whether it's somebody who's had a catastrophic injury, who's learning how to walk or talk again, or if it's somebody who's just overcome an addiction, or if it's somebody who's just is trying to change their life and walk a better path, and they fail. And I think the arena is relevant to the athlete. It sometimes, this is sometimes getting to work on time. I'm like, wow, that I don't care what you throw at me today, dude. I'm here at 7:58. What's up, right? And that's like an act of God and divine intervention and green light switching by the hand of an archangel that I was here, right? And sometimes
Yeah,
that's great. Other days it's like I trip over my cape. I'm so great, right? Like but it's a great point. And if it was easy,
yeah.
everybody. But the to your point, and OA's doing this. That's the thing about us. I think is so wonderful is that our journey is not like any other journey from any other company on the path to greatness. And it's we've been through. So the company's made some silly decisions. There were some evolutionary things that had to happen from not only personnel but from locations. Moving from Nevada to here, and there was great members of the organization there that kind of gave it the foundation. And then there were some things we look at and we go, what were they thinking, man? Like, but
Yeah.
that we actually, I don't know if I told you this, we actually have a director of spiritual operations on staff, and he loves that I
That's
gave him that title. Like, and his name is Matthew, and I said, hey Matthew, I said you're our DSO. He's like, what's that? And I said you're our director of spiritual operations.
that's awesome.
But in Matthew's description of being a kingdom corporation is that if you spend any time in Revelations and stuff, you'll understand it even better. If not, read it. But the is when you find companies that have made false or false promises and moments of idolatry and false pretense and poor and immoral business practices. It's inevitable that trajectory is going to be different, and eventually it's going to end. And one of the things about, and this, I don't just mean that from a financial, people can still make billions of dollars doing things crooked,
Yeah,
but it's going to end somewhere, whether it's morally or financially or physically. That if it's just the way you feel about yourself, and when you can look back on something and go, hey man, we've struggled super hard to get where we are. Like when I got here in November, we all collectively got in the room and said, hey man, our gun's got to do two things. It's got to work every time, and it's got to hit where you're aiming. Let's start there. And
perfect.
we did. And when you look back across the industry, I've worked for some wonderful companies. I've been in this industry. I've worked for the Turkish brand. I worked at Staccato for a long time. Really, my journey in this industry has been fantastic. I was on Shooting USA. I mean, I just worked with Bud's Gun Shop. Just wonderful, wonderful organizations. And all of us, in every element I was in, there was some moment where we all had to put hand to plow, and we had to look back and go, what are we doing, man? Like, let's what is going on? Is there an etch and sketch? Can I shake this and start over?
Right.
But when you get to the other side of that challenge, when you accomplish that, and you all of a sudden you're looking back and you've got, 10,000 guns in back order, and you're doing this incredible number, and you've got a great dealer network, and you're a viral brand, and you look back and you go, wow, man, that sucked, but how cool is it now, right?
Yep.
It's a feeling of accomplishment, and when you go back and you look at that feeling of accomplishment and understand what it took to get there, you have a value. There's an ownership in that. There's a loyalty to that. And then when you talk about that from a different position, you talk about it with a level of authenticity that I think people connect with. And that's one of the things that make me so passionate about OA
Yeah.
is, I've been in this spot before, and I enjoy it. I love it. And the thing that I think is a little bit different about this is, I think some of the other accomplishments, with some of the other teams we had, I really didn't feel the spiritual connection to it. I really didn't feel the unity in the organization, and I don't think I was anywhere near as fearless as I am now. And I say that as an organization, that we literally are so excited. We're so fearless, but we're so humble. We're calm when it's chaotic. We're confident when it's confused, and I think we're driven. And it's been super. It's been really cool, man. I mean, and I say that, like I bought a Bible, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not kidding, and I didn't catch on fire. I mean, I got a little warm, but I mean, I didn't catch on fire. And of course, I grew the mustache, so I've heard the whole Ned Flanders thing
Yeah.
from my wife. You bought a Bible and grew a mustache. And I'm like, giggity giggity, right? So
Yeah.
whatever. But oakley dokley. But it's just been such a cool journey. I mean, again,
Yeah.
I don't want to be too
Dude.
Pentecostal about it, but it's just been super fun.
Yeah. Well, I think that, I mean, dude, it's that whole piece of, it's a spiritual piece to it, but there's something to be said of just like that law of attraction. Like you get back what you put out into the world. Right.
100%.
Like,
Yeah, yeah,
w-
100%, man. I don't, and I've said this before, man. Is listen, I'm not, my beliefs are my beliefs. There's other members in my group circle and friends who believe a little bit differently. But listen, man, I don't care if you worship tree bark. If it makes you a better person, if it gives you a North Star and makes you do things different for the betterment of mankind and the betterment of your brothers and sisters around you, and you follow a moral compass
yeah.
that is a practical moral compass, right? Then listen, man, I support you, bro. Right? Like
Yeah.
I do. I want us all to be successful. I'm a rising tide all boats guy. I mean, even when I worked in other companies, I still shot everybody's 2011s, and I was like, they're like, dude, what do you
What are you
think?
doing?
I'm like, dude, that's a really good gun.
Yeah.
And they're like, Tony just said our gun's pretty good, right? Like, 'cause, like when I worked at Staccato, people were like, I'd go up to a booth and they'd be like, hey man, that's Tony from Staccatos here.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, what's going on?
He, what's happening? I'm like, hey man, what's up? Like, and I shoot the tick, 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 tick. I'm like, man, that's really cool. Wow, yeah, wow, that's really neat, right? And
Yeah.
I do the
Yeah.
same thing now. I did it when I worked for other companies. I'm a rising tide all boats guy, man. If you call me up, 99% of the gun companies, 99.9% of the gun companies in this industry, if they call me up and ask my advice or said, hey, can you help us do this? I'm 99.9% of the time going to help them. The other 0.1% is I need to sleep sometimes. But
Yeah.
listen, man, that's the unification of it all is moving in that direction and continue to do the right things and help people out too. So
Dude, well, so kind of with that, I mean, because there's such a story, I believe, or just kind of a journey, right? And just kind of some questions I ultimately have within it, like even before OA defense. Because I mean, even to know, okay, we have the military background, we have the shooting background. Like, I guess give everyone kind of listening, like what has led 2 OA defense, because honestly, it's kind of like that song, like, right, all the X's were like the North Star, right, like moving towards something greater. But give us a little bit of a journey from like the past to where you are now. Like, what has led to this moment?
Yeah, no, that's so I'll, so it's interesting is, I grew up, and I'll go back that far, but I won't make it 58-year-old story. But I grew up kind of rough. My parents didn't have much money. Both were in kind of a really challenging situation from an alcohol and drugs perspective. My parents were separated for about 5 years. I mean, there was a time in my life I was in and out of about 12 different schools between first and third grade. Um, I used to, there was a lot of domestic violence between, my mother and the guy she was living with. Not the most conducive environment. There was a time we lived in a motel because my mom cleaned the rooms, and at night she worked in a factory. My dad was living his party lifestyle, and eventually they found God and got back together, and started going to an Assemblies of God church in Palatine, Illinois. And after 5 years of being separated, ended up, both in relationships with other people. Found God. My mother was the first one, and brought my dad in, and they turned their life around, and stayed together for another for a total of probably I think 33 years. And so in that time, I'd always wanted to be an Army guy, right? And I was in high school, and when I was in high school, I was a high school wrestler, and I wrestled, junior high, and got into high school as a wrestler, and I was an okay wrestler, was a pretty good wrestler. I was, really trying to have more fun than I was being the athlete. I wanted to stay athletic enough to look good. And I end up having some stomach issues along the way, and they were like, "Oh, it's just stress of school and other things that were going on in the life uh, with my parents and stuff." And that turned out that was not the case. That my appendix had ruptured. It had ruptured like 6 months earlier, and they only found it out by finally taking me in and doing a lower GI. And my appendix had basically healed itself off. So at the time, I'd missed probably, gosh, 4 months of school, off and on. And I remember going to the Army recruiter with my girlfriend at the time, and she was trying to get an ROTC scholarship, and something didn't happen. She took the test, and I remember sitting there, and the guy looked at me, and he's like, his name was Ed Panis, Pannes, and he goes, "So what's your deal?" And I go, "Well, I'm joining the Army, but I'm gonna have to go for a fifth year of high school because of this, and this." He's like, "Well, are you good now?" And I go, "Well, yeah." He goes, "Well, go over there and take that test." I said, "Okay." So I sat down, took the test, and I got like the practice test. I got like a 70 something on it. He goes, "So what do you want to do?" And I was like, "Infantry." Okay. Well, this will be easy. And at the time, you'll appreciate this. At the time, the Army had a program to where you could drop out of high school and join the Army.
That's
And while you went to basic training, AIT, and after AIT, when you went to your final duty assignment, you had to have a certain amount of credits. Like you had to graduate in like within 6 months of like going every 7 days a week for like, I think it was actually 3 months, every 7 days a week, for 3 months, like 6 a.m. to 6 at night, go to school and on base to the education center, and you get a high school diploma. But you had to score in a certain amount of thing, and you can only go on like combat arms MOSs, right? There was no bonuses. You were like, "Hey man, check it out. We need 3 monkeys right here, and you're a monkey. Go." Right.
go.
And so there it is. I drop out of high school, and I go down to MEPS, and I take the test, and they did a medical evaluation of my appendicitis, and then I had a couple of hernias, and I was all going to pass the physical, and he's like, it's like, go down there. I come back, and I'm all bummed out, and he's like, "What's wrong?" And I didn't even qualify. And listen, this, right? Like, whenever a kid's going to join the military, their parents are like, "Oh my God, please don't let my son join the infantry," right?
Yeah.
I didn't even qualify for the infantry. Like, I went to MEPS and they're like, yeah, sorry, we don't have any slots for people like you in the infantry. I was like, damn, right? I'm like, boy, talk about bummed out, right? Like I can't even be a grunt. And so I come back but it's funny is the job I got was like Ford observer, like cannon fire direction specialist, which was actually like above that at the time from the education perspective and qualification needs. There just wasn't any slots because there's only so many people that can join the Army without a high school diploma, regardless of the score. It's just it's part of the quota thing.
Gotcha.
And so this was the time. This is 1987 when they had paper contracts, and I was so bummed out, right? And he goes, well, let me make a call. So he calls me. And he's like, hey, man, listen. Yeah, so he goes, hey, man, listen. And he puts him on his old push button phone. Like he puts him on hold. There's a blinking button. And he goes, here's the deal. He goes, you got to go down 1 March and you got to leave 15 March to go to basic training. I go, done. And so I literally went down 1 March 1987, and I went to MEPS, and I was the first guy in the door. I walked right into the MEPS counselor, and he goes, "Here's your infantry contract," and he was pissed. He's like, "Here's your infantry contract. Here's your effing infantry contract." And I went over, I swore in, and I was gone in 2 weeks, and I went to basic. And my first duty assignment was Berlin, Germany, and I spent when the wall was up. So yeah, talk about being an old guy. I was there when the wall was up, right? Yeah.
Dude,
so
how old were you?
I was 18.
18.
Yeah. And so fast forward,
Yeah.
I spent just over 20 years in the Army. I retired in 2007, and I was an infantry guy. I had a bunch of great assignments, wonderful experiences in my life. Really, I grew up there. I learned a lot there. And when I retired from the Army, I went right to work in the gun industry, right? I was like, okay, this is easy, right? I didn't have a college degree, I had a bunch of college experience, or a bunch of college and a bunch of leadership experience and management experience. I had spent probably about 4 years on a recruiting gig, and which USAREC is super big on business analytics and market analysis and all this stuff. And I kind of grew kind of addicted to that, like because I could pull demographic reports, which is basically business operating systems, right?
Right.
And so I started learning business systems, at least the Army's version of this, and I got really excited about it because basically an op order is a business plan. A target profile is market analysis, right? So it's all these different things. Demographics are just basically other forms of intelligence. So I really, really dug it. And I got out and I went to work for a small gun shop. I was kind of like a junior partner at this gun shop, and we built out this business and started stocking product. And I did this, like my first introduction to a marketing, strategy for a small, me and one other guy, and literally built this gun shop from the ground up. And I spent about, not long there, but I spent a little bit of time there, and then I went to work for another company in the competitive shooting market. And while I was my last little gig in the Army when I was on recruiting, I got into competitive shooting. So I kind of stayed in that path of competitive shooting. And I started shooting competitively, I think, in late 90s, early 2000s. And then, of course, when I retired, I kept doing it more. And eventually I ended up starting my own company. I ended up doing a bunch of different stuff. I decided to start my own company and sell competitive stuff. And I ended up doing that for a little while, where I would travel around, I would shoot matches, and then I would sell my wares, at the match. And I would shoot the match on Friday. I would sell my wares Saturday and Sunday. So I got super connected with a lot of people in the firearms industry and the shooting industry. And then I eventually ended up at Bud's Gun Shop. Shortening the story, I ended up at budsgunshop.com, the big internet retailer. And I was in the training room. I was literally in the training room teaching people to shoot, running competitive matches there, traveling around shooting matches, and I really enjoyed that. And then one day Bud walked into me and he goes, hey man, listen, Mr. Tactical Trainer Guy. And he goes, so he had two partners in the business, and Bud is exactly who you would imagine Bud is. He's a wonderful human being, super smart guy.
Yeah.
Started in a little small shop. Believe it or not, budsgunshop.com started in a little small 1,500 square foot shop in Paris, Kentucky. and grew to be,
What it
yeah,
is.
like
Yeah.
they were the Palmetto State before Palmetto State was Palmetto State, right? Juggernaut. So Bud comes up to me and says, "Hey man, we bought these damn shotguns from Turkey." And he's like, we bought about 250 of them, and we got ain't nobody know nothing about these shotguns. I need you to go over there in that damn room over there, and maybe do a video or something, figure out some way to sell these some bitches. And so I went in there in my best military jump master instructor posture, and I took 3 target sticks and I did like this. I zip tied them, and I put a Sony Handycam, and I still have the camera, Sony Handycam on this, and I pressed record. I walked around the front and I go, "Hi, folks, Tony from BudsGunShop.com. I'm here in the range, and I want to talk to you a little bit about the Gerson MC312 inertia driven shotgun." And I went through these products, and they're basically a copy of the Benelli, Super 90, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
And inertia driven,
Yep.
Benelli had lost the, and so it's almost a carbon copy of that. Like you can literally take Benelli parts and put on it. And I started shooting this thing, and I got to the end of the video, and I was like, um, okay, man, I got to do some type of an outro. Like, what's my closing statement? Like, I'd done enough public speaking as an Army guy and as a first sergeant. Okay, let's get out of here, right? Like, and have a great weekend. I was like, okay, I got to do something like that. And so I get to the end of the video. I go, remember, folks, you can find this on all products at budsgunshop.com. And remember, folks, stay safe, train hard, and win the fight. I came to the position of attention. I walked around the back of that camera and said, beep, boop. We sold like 5,000 of those shotguns. And Bud was like, y'all got this fella here doing the wrong thing. And so literally moved me out of the training room on a Monday, and I moved to the marketing department, which the marketing department was me and this 28-year-old kid who was a super smart kid. And he had no idea about photography, but he just started getting on the internet, started watching YouTube videos, and he learned. So he was our editor. He was my videographer. He was the campaign guy, and Rex McClanahan, the main guy there at budsgunshop.com, would help draft up the emails. We would insert these videos, and I learned about email segmentation. I evaluated products. I developed marketing strategies, and while I was there, I was like, okay, I'm kind of secondhand lions right now. Like I've led men for years, right? And I was like, time to go to school. And so I went to school, and I went to college at night and on part time. And about 2000, I think it was 2015. Yeah, it was March 2000, March 6, 2015. I want to say it was. I graduated from school. I finished my bachelor's in management with a concentration in marketing, and I left budsgunshop.com and I started my own consulting firm in the firearms industry. Simultaneously, I got picked up by Shooting USA, and I was on the TV show. So I was on that TV show for 4 years, and I remember my audition with Shooting USA was I drove to Nashville because I lived in Lexington, Kentucky at the time, and I drove to Nashville. And Jim Scouten was a huge mentor of mine. Wonderful, wonderful man.
Yeah.
And his son John is like my brother, right? Like I'm the better looking one, but he's still my brother. And so I remember, the interview process, and they were like, hey, yeah, my name's Tony Pignato, and I remember John saying, have you ever been on camera before? I'm like, yeah, I don't know, like 1,000 times. I said I probably got, 5 million views, and I've probably done $15 million worth of sales a year from videos or something. And he's like, oh, you're that Tony, like you're
You're
Bud's
that
Gunshop
Tony.
Tony.
You're that.
We went down there, and we literally immediately, him and I did a read through, and we were like, and literally, we're like Laurel and Hardy. I'm the fat one, right? Of course, but we just became just really great friends and great chemistry on camera. And so I did that, while simultaneously, doing other stuff from a consulting perspective in the firearms industry, from a marketing perspective. And what I really liked to do, and the reason I left, was I felt like I'd worked with macro. I'd worked with a macro retailer. I got really great relationships and established rapport and saw how things work when you walk in a room and you're the number one Benelli dealer in the world, and they look at you and you're getting caviar and Dom Perignon, and you're just a good old country boy who just sells guns, man. And I wanted to work with the single holster makers, the guys who have a custom rifle that they make, it takes them a month to make one and they make 15 a year or something like that. I wanted to work with the micro guys because I just felt like I wanted to continue to diversify my skill set. I knew I wanted to be in this industry. And then I spent time on Shooting USA where I got to even more relationships with people. And fast forward to TriggerCon in 2018, and I met the leadership team from then STI at TriggerCon. And I actually did an interview. We started a thing on Shooting USA called Shooting USA Uncut, which was filmed directly to social. And I interviewed the CEO at the time and met some other members of the team. And uh, lo and behold, I get a call from Taryn Butler who says, "Hey, man, SCI is looking for a CMO." So I called, talked to the leadership team there, and they said, "Hey, why don't you come down here?" And so I said, literally, "Hey, man, just give me a visitor pass," because I'd been here. I knew a bunch of guys in the company. I've been shooting the products for a long time. And I walked around and came back in. I said, "Hey, man, make me a reasonable offer. I'll start in 3 weeks." And literally he wrote something on a sticky note, handed it to me, and said, "What do you think about this?" I said, "Great." I walked out, and I went back to Kentucky, and I said, "Hey, man," I looked at my wife, said, "What do you think about moving to Texas?" And she was like, "Okay." And I literally, I was the CMO there for about 18 months, and then I moved into being the chief experience officer. And literally, we hired probably one of the most fantastic CMOs I've seen in the business, Kristen Marlowe. She's now the CMO, I think that's her title, or VP of marketing for Colt.
Okay.
I dragged her everywhere I went since I left Staccato. I dragged her to Sarsal Moss with me for a year. She came over and consulted with us here at OA Defense for a little while. So I left there. Because I was a glutton for even more punishment. As my last year at Staccato, I decided to start in the MBA program. So I got into an executive MBA program. I finished that. I left Staccato and after a wonderful, wonderful tour and tenure, and I got to really be part of the development of the ranch. But I learned a lot. There's some incredible, incredible experience there. Some incredible mentors were in the organization or are in the organization that I got to spend time with guys who've turned
Yeah.
major, major corporations around. A wealth of knowledge across the field. And I went and ran a Turkish company for a year, which I think everybody should experience that at least once. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot. It was a great part of my journey, and turned out to not be my destination. But parted ways very professionally. I enjoyed it. I thanked very much for the opportunity, and then I literally settled in to a point where I was like, I'm looking for the job, not a job. And I got a call from a friend who said, hey man. And when a friend ever calls, he goes, "Hey man," expect foul play.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Hey man, listen, we heard you left Sarso Moss." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "No, no big deal. It's great, great experience. A great, great product. The parent company has just been around 140 years. What fantastic stuff. I learned a lot." And he's like, "So what are you doing now?" And I said, I've interviewed with a couple of people. I'm kind of looking at some things. I'm doing this. I'm kind of relaxing. For the last almost 6 years now, the only thing I've seen in Texas is ranges, and the range. Right, I'm ready to go. I'd like to go see some Texas. I'd like to go to the Alamo. I heard that's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
And so they said, "Hey man, listen, would you mind?" We talked to the owner, and the owner would like to know if you could. And I talked to Chris Moore at the time, who was the CEO, and he said, "Hey man, listen." I said, "Listen, I'm a big fan of your guys' brand. I know some people that work there. I really want to see you be successful. And I've been in that role before. I've been in a position before where you got a young company that you just can't. You're bouncing around in circles, and everything needs to be fixed. Listen, I've got a little experience at. Let me tell you what. Pay my travel. I'll come up there and spend a few days in a hotel and let me help out." And literally that was it. I mean, this notebook right here, no kidding, and I keep it deliberately. Um, but there's a series of questions right here. Those are the questions I asked when I first came to the company. And this is way back in October before I started here in November. And I wrote down about 20 questions, and I just sat down with the ownership and with the CEO, and we started asking questions. And I said, this is just discovery, guys. This is not, I'm not troubleshooting you. I'm just, these are things we need to have answers to if we want to build a business model. And they've done a lot before I got there. They moved the whole company to Robbins, North Carolina. So lots of work. I mean, good God, the work to do that, to move,
Oh yeah.
hundreds of thousands of dollars of machines and then hire a whole new team and build an infrastructure. I mean, what an incredible accomplishment. And then you
Yeah.
have this jerk coming in going, yeah, you don't know the answers. You're stupid. Right. But they were super patient with me and understood that, I believed in them and I really wanted to help. And by the time we got done sitting down, it was, hey man, how much do you cost? And I was like, listen, man, I'm seriously, I was like, I'm not looking for a job. I'm looking for the job. And I stayed a few more days and literally just, I couldn't, there was nothing in me that everything pulled me here. Everything about it, the way I felt, the calling I felt to the company, the opportunity with the company just pulled me here. And even further when I had finally sat down with our DSO and he was like, hey man, he goes, this is, we think you're the last piece of the puzzle. I think this is what we need. I think there's a reason you're here. I think the reason you've experienced stuff. And sometimes you look at things and you realize they're meant to be. And for you to be in this moment where you're at right now, and the position has been developed, or the opportunity became an opportunity
Hmm.
because of some divine influence or maybe outside influence, whatever you believe in. But it just felt right. And I've even in the moments, and there's always in struggle where you're like, it's like making a 25-yard shot on a swing, and you're like, pow, right? I think the gun makes a different noise, like pow, pow, right? And then you walk down and you go, pow, pow, right? That was a good hit, right? You're super proud of yourself. So,
Yep.
but it's just those moments of question or even the slightest amount of doubt have just completely evaporated, and I just continue to grow closer to this team and continue to be just encouraged by what we're doing, and that's what led me to here. And I'm just I literally I moved to dude I worked for the company for 5 months and I sold my house in Texas and moved to North Carolina, and I kid you not, like I'm in. Like
Yeah.
I am in all white. I drank the Kool-Aid. I put on the Nikes with the red laces, and I'm literally waiting for the spaceship. Like I'm here, bro. I'm
We're
in,
here.
right?
Yeah.
I am in. And so when I say I'm in love with the company, it's not a fast love. It's not a one night stand, man. I'm absolutely, I just grow deeper in love with what we're doing and more committed to where we're going. And I could not be happier. And that's why it's so easy for me to share the story. Is it's like I feel like I'm that guy handing out tracts on the corner in Nashville. Like I have seen the light. Like there is companies, man. There are companies in this industry that you can believe in, and they're not going to be perfect.
No.
We're not going to be arrogant. We're not overconfident. We're humble. We know we're dumb. We've made dumb things before. We do dumb stuff, right? But we're going to continue to improve, and by the grace of it all, we're going to continue to move this product forward. And I think just watching the trajectory of this business so quickly,
Yeah.
watching what we've been doing so quickly and how fast. I mean, the depth of the knowledge we have at the leadership team and at the execution level in this company would blow your mind. I mean, it's literally a hand-picked team. Like you're going to win the Super Bowl. Like the only thing that keep us from winning the Super Bowl is if they cancel the Super Bowl. Like there's no. It's just and it's
Yeah.
just when you feel it and you know it and you just continue to see the things that you're moving and you continue to see the blessings that happen and the opportunities that just present themselves are like, who called us? Like,
Yeah.
what? They want to carry our products? What? They're the largest, retail sporting goods chain in the United States, and they called us and said they want to carry our products? Shut up. Right? So, yeah, these are real conversations. This isn't made up stories. So
Yeah.
it's cool. It's really cool. So obviously I'm a little Pentecostal right now, but it's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. Well, I think, hit on a really, really cool piece just at the end there too of like, hey, yeah, we make mistakes. We're not perfect, but hey, dude, in today's day and age, like with the evolution of AI and social media and all these other things, like that's the stuff people are looking for. Like the beauty is
Authenticity,
it's
man.
yeah,
Like,
dude.
be real, bro. Like, hashtag woke up like this, right? You
Yeah.
know, it's literally, when
YOLO.
I was at a different point in my career, we were fortunate enough that, there was a time where, there was a single product in the market that was great. And literally we said it, right? Like, and these companies there's still some really, really impressive and great guns, but literally there was, and I told the team this, I was like, there was a time there was only one pretty girl in the room. Now there's a lot. There's a lot of really good guns in the industry. I think the industry is full of guns that shoot really, really good and are
Mhm.
made really, really good. And so I told my team, I was like, hey, man, listen, here's the deal. We don't have to be the prettiest girl in the room, but we got to be pretty enough to be in the room.
Right.
And they're like, well, okay, well, then what? I said, well, then we got to have a really cool personality and a rich dad. So, it's like, we just got to be like, we got to be the pretty person in the room that you want to hang out with, right? That you
Right.
want to be friends with. Like, you're not just really cool person, but you're a really genuine person, and
Yep.
I want to hang out with you. I want to be part of what you're doing, and I want to support you in what you're doing. And I understand it's not easy, and anybody who's manufactured anything in the world or been a part of, like you have, of a growth of a brand, you understand that there's a lot. It's a lot.
Yep.
There's a lot of times you
Yep.
look at it and go, yeah, being great is easy, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
yeah.
Yeah. It's, dude, it's always when I mean, my dad, this is a saying I grew up with my entire life too, is like, hey, you stick your head above the crowd, you're going to get shot at. Right. But you have to continue to be able to go through and stick your head above the crowd. Like you need, quote unquote, be the pretty girl, but also like understand, allow yourself to be there long enough to not like, to make sure people know that you're not the slut, right? Like, hey, I'm here to go through and create great relationships. I'm not just here for the one night stands and all that kind of stuff, using different terminology in that. But that's how I guess I look at it, as like, yeah, we want to be the hot girl in the room, right? We want to be a hot girl in the room because there are tons of them on the first form side. Like, a lot of people make protein, a lot of people make supplements and all the different things that we make. It's like, it's the one thing for us.
They
It all
do.
comes back to the people.
And
It always will come back to
100%,
it.
you are, dude. That you guys are such a great success story for that, because you're right. Go stand in the health food section at Target or Walmart. There's a lot of people that make a lot of stuff. There's Bills and Bobs and Daves and Jerry's and Sarah's and Annie's and Kathy's and there's all kinds out there. But when you add it all up, I buy First Form, right?
Mm-hmm.
Without a discount. I
Mm-hmm.
buy First Form products, right?
Yep.
Because I want to support a great company, right? You guys support us as an organization, which is fantastic.
Yep.
And out of the kindness of your heart, and it's the same reason why we wanted to support you guys, is not when I say kindness of your heart, but it's because I want to remain involved with wonderful people, and I want to support wonderful people and
Exactly.
wonderful organizations. And I think that's it. I think, maybe not, maybe not, but I believe this is true. I think we can breed out dumb stuff and dumb companies.
Bro.
I think we can show people that I think post COVID, I think pre COVID customer experience was something. I think post COVID, right after COVID, our standards were like, I remember going out to dinner one night with my wife,
Bro.
and when the meat finally came to the table, she was like, I thought you ordered chicken. I was like, I did. She goes, is that meatloaf? I go, yeah. I said, but it's something. It finally came. I'm not saying nothing. I'm going with it. Like, we have become satisfied with mediocrity.
Right.
And what's
Yeah.
happened is, we've got horrible service and we've got horrible treatment and horrible business practices, we've come used to that, and we feel like that's the norm. This is the thing that I think, it's like OA. What does OA stand for? Omnis audentia, right? And what it is all omnis audentia, Latin term for audacity, which is, in all things we are going to be bold. And so we want to boldly show the industry that that things can be different, right? And it's not just this industry, but other industries. Things can be different. It
Yep.
just doesn't have to be kale salads and kumbaya, but you
Yep.
can literally work hard, hold people accountable, hold people to a standard, uh, discipline, encourage, coach, mentor, grow, educate, reprimand, punish, and you can still make an incredible culture and grow a business and be successful. And I that's and not that we're the experts at all that. No, we're just learning, but let's learn transparently in the open and find other people and let's share that. Let's share that philosophy
Yeah.
of
Yep.
being better, of
Hmm.
serving something greater. Whether
Yep.
it's for us, it has a certain meaning. For other people, like I said, it can be being a great dad. It can be being a great mom. It can be being a great coach. That's the reason you get up every morning when you're dragging butt is to go because you've got clients that are trying to improve their life and you want to help them be better. So
Yeah.
again, that's sorry, I keep getting out on this,
No,
getting off, get
it's
on this
good.
pulpit, man. But that's what I think encouraged me every day is can we be the champion of that? Can we be the champion of doing something better?
Yeah.
And I think this industry and all industries deserve it. I think you guys are a perfect example of that. In a
No,
world of protein drinks, you're first one.
yeah, right. Well, that's, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I could speak just from my own personal experience and the small, like the interactions that we've had and just interactions within the brand and the company as a whole. Like did, it's what excites me about like, this is where for me, even going to other events, and I know you've traveled, you've connected and built all those different relationships going to those events. Like, honestly, I hear it to where it's like, some people get where it's like, oh, I got to go do this event. And I'm not speaking on just like the first form piece, but when I go to other events, like I meet people at booths, I meet different areas and like they almost don't seem very excited to be there. Right. And it's like, hey, this is just another thing I have to do versus like, hey, no, this is something we get to do where we get to be. And I think that speaks volumes of like the team and what you are ultimately working to build and like how you carry yourself with that to where then, dude, it's literally how can you go out and create just a positive ripple effect in, of course, like your community. I've always looked at that kind of piece to where it's like, dude, if you are putting out good positive energy, that's like throwing a grain of sand in the water. There's still a little bit of a ripple, but as you continue to move forward, those little granules of sand come together, right, to essentially create a big splash and a wave. And the more people that are doing that, the more people that are connected with that, the more companies that ecosystem grows. Even that's that whole tide rises the ship. Like, dude, I don't wish ill treatment on any other supplement brands that are out there. In the direct competitive piece to it is like at the end of the day, like I hope they all do great because guess what? If people are utilizing them, they're also going through and bettering themselves, their households, their health, which makes everything else better. People going out shooting guns, like I'd hope they go through and utilize and try an OA, right? Like going shooting that. But at the end of the day, like I want someone to get out there too and actually get a gun in their hand, go shoot, build something, learn something, and just see everyone do better, right?
Great
Experience
point, man.
stuff.
It's such a great point. I know we've talked about a ton of stuff on here, but it's such a
Yeah,
great point. Customer experience is so powerful.
yeah,
I mean, you think about customer experience and the Tony definition is anytime a customer, potential customer, strategic partner interacts directly or indirectly with your product, brand, or service. And the thing that people forget about is indirectly.
hmm,
If a member of your team is wearing a first form shirt and they stop at a gas station and they're a jerk, that
yeah,
reverberates to everybody at that company's a jerk.
one
Or hey,
hundred
I met
percent.
two or three of those people are jerks. Or if they call up customer service and you don't take them, I was fortunate enough to work at with Bauer Business School in Houston on the development of the customer experience program. And one of the professors there, one of the mentors of that program, wrote a book about turning them from raging fans to raving fans. And when you have that customer and that emotional side of their head already, it's a shorter bridge to the happy version. And getting that transaction to happen, when they're already in a stimulated emotional state, getting them to transition over to something like, wow, I was super mad and now I'm not mad. Now I love you, right? Like it's like so. But what does that take? It takes patience, right? It's like
Right.
when I came to the company, the first thing I asked the owners, how patient are you? Because it takes a long time to build something meaningful, to build something greater. Noah didn't build an ark in 4 days, right?
No.
And he
Yeah.
didn't build the ark half-ass.
No.
So guess what we have to do? We have to build with discipline, and we have to have the patience to understand it's going to take a long time for us to get to the end goal. But every piece of wood, every piece of structure is building into the foundation so that when the rains come, we've got a very, very resilient and we've got a solid
Yeah.
structure to carry us through.
It's
So
there to weather the storm, right? Like,
100 for great, great, great
yeah.
continuity of that.
The,
Yeah.
and I know we've been on here for a minute, and I
All good.
appreciate your time. I want to make
Of
sure
course.
I'm
Great conference. Dude,
respectful.
listen, man,
Yeah.
I love a podcast that's just two dudes talking about stuff. And if
Yeah.
anybody listens, cool. If they don't, I don't care. We got to share stuff.
Still, yeah, we still got to share. There's a big piece that I really, you have a lot of life experience and just knowing, and I've had my own little stints of it in the past of just like you moving on from different scenarios or different, like say different careers, right? Um, that like I look at like staccato, right? Some people would look at that as like, hey, that is the job, or maybe it was, like the gun shop. When you're going through that, especially to be with someone for let's say 6 years or being 4 years, for you in that scenario, when you come towards the end of that term and you're ultimately looking at making a transition, like how do you articulate that in the sense of, okay, I've been here long enough, or was it a quick shift? Was it an easy shift to move into staccato from last one, or to move from staccato to say, all right, I've been here 6 years now, I'm moving? Like, what does those transitions look like for you? Because I feel like there's a lot of people out there that are stuck. They feel like they're in the job, like they have to stay here, and maybe they're not sure if they can go another direction, right? Like what would that look like for you, or how do you handle those?
So great question. Now, it's not, and there's part of this journey for me, this applies, but like when I moved into staccato, it was a great next step for my career.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that it was a new thing for me to do. It was a new challenge. I feel like I had been educated. I feel like I had the right amount of experience. Like I felt like, I felt like I had good relationships. I was exactly what I think we needed at the time from a chief marketing officer perspective,
Mm-hmm.
for a brand turnaround. And then when we needed to get more technical, we needed to get more deliberate on things rather than just emotional and network related. We hired Kristen, and then I moved into being primarily just the chief experience officer, and then part of the, primarily running the business development side of the house.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a great transition for me. So I was able to really gain a ton of experience. And then I moved over and I spent about a year building out the ranch, which was, I was doing that during my MBA program, which was great because I had a lot of lessons I was learning at the ranch, budget and asset allocation and operations and design strategies and marketing strategies and go-to-market strategies and
Mm-hmm.
personnel and I mean, it was a fantastic learning experience for me. But once I had done that, I felt like I was ready to go to the next thing. Like I felt like a great part of my journey, wonderful, wonderful, enjoyed it a lot, and it was time to go to the next journey. And so I left. I really wanted to take a minute and relax and kind of because it's a lot, when
Mm-hmm.
I was part of the business development team, we were doing 70, 90 events a year. So we were on the road a lot. I went through
Yeah.
4 trucks when I was there, like 4 diesel trucks when I was there. So that's a lot. I was
Yeah.
tired, right?
Yeah.
And so I took a few months off, recovered, which was great for me. It was great for my relationship, and
Mm-hmm.
I kind of reconnected with Texas, and kind of I took a breather. If you want to talk about it, it's like, of course,
Yeah.
I say this breather. I spent 3 months finishing my MBA, and then I took like a whole
Took
month off.
yeah. Took that. Yeah.
And then I went to my next uh, position at Sarsa Moss, which was another great experience for me. But again, that was a place that I felt like I was gonna do something there that I'd never done before, and I was gonna be exposed to something I'd never been exposed to, which was a different price point product. I was going to be dealing with what is a little bit of a different customer and a different distribution channel. So I think it's kind of like that Karate Kid thing. I was paint the fence, wax the car.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then when I started looking at it, and I had an opportunity to move on, and I felt like I'd done all I could accomplish there uh, in that single year, and I was literally there to year to a day. It was time for me to go, and it was a decision I made very deliberately.
Mm-hmm.
Just it again, sometimes things work out, sometimes you work really well with people, and sometimes it just, regardless of who the people are, they could both be wonderful people, it just doesn't work out.
Yeah.
But one of the things as throughout my career, and I've shared with young people, uh, if you don't know your value, you're on sale. Now,
Mm.
not that you're not for sale, but you're not on sale. And the way you know your value, and this is one of the things every person I've had in my time that has worked for me, I always tell them to spend time and like collect your data. Know where you're, like, for example, our business development team here, know where your market started at. Know where you started at as a leader. I want you to build your own professional resume while you're working here. I took over this shit show and I did this, right? That's important, because secondarily is that you understand your value. You understand the skill sets you've developed. And you also, if you're analyzing your own markets, if you're analyzing your own accomplishments, where did I miss that? If last quarter I did this, why am I not doing it this quarter? And you go back and go, okay, what did I do? Okay, wow, I was in an event every 4 weeks, and I was doing it at a premier dealer, and wow, and now this whole region of the United States dropped down. Why? What did I do different? Did the market change? Did I change? If I'm doing everything the same thing, do I need to evolve my skill set? Take Michael
Mm-hmm.
Jordan, his first national championship. If he would have never changed his game, that would have been the last one he won, right? What did
Right.
he do? He evolved his game. Tom Brady, same thing, evolved their game. Look at other champions, and you have to constantly be better.
Yep.
You have to be, again, define greater, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's probably what I would say about the journeys is there's always fear. When you're leaving something, there's fear mixed with excitement. But then the thing about knowing your value is there's the calm and the confidence, because
Mm-hmm.
you know what you bring to an organization, you know what your value is, you know what your worth is, and and here's the thing about you is I say to people is, don't just look in the mirror every day and say you are a bright and shining star. Prove it, right? Like,
Right.
you have to validate your own BS, right? It's like,
Yep.
my Instagram followers tell me I'm great. Stop, right? It's like validate yourself, hold yourself accountable for that stuff. Look and go, what have I? Okay, I did this. You have this amount of experience. You went to this school. You took this class. You got this certification. This is, and I think it transcends. It communicates well. It transfers in a conversation during an interview, not from an arrogance perspective, but this is what I've done. This is where I'm at. If you think about it, they hire these people out of these Ivy League schools right off the bat. Why? Because potential. This
Mm-hmm.
percentage of people who graduated from this institution are going to perform at this level.
Right.
The great thing about experience is that you're like, yeah, this is not about potential. This is about performance. So know what your performance is. There's
Yep.
no there's no scoreboard. There's no NFL.com that's going to say how many runs you scored. Sometimes you're going to have to articulate it. You're going to have to be able to quantify it. I was great. I turned the entire business around. How? By doing stuff. What stuff? A lot of stuff. How much stuff?
Yep.
The stuff. Thanks for coming by. Right?
Yep.
Like, when you can articulate to me, like, data driven decisions are the key. And that's one of the things I learned when I went to work for the Turkish company is, I came from an environment where we made really, really passionate decisions. We have a ton of experienced guys. And then I went into an environment where you have very, very passionate culture, right? And they love to argue with each other, right? And so that's part of the deal. So I got really, really deep into data. And when you present data, you take it out of a different. It's no longer an emotional
Yep.
conflict. It's data. The data says this. This is the result of the
Yeah.
data. If
Yep.
you don't want to listen to the data, great. When this doesn't happen, I'm going to show you this, right? So,
Yep.
which helped me a lot when I came to this company. So I really think probably the biggest thing I tell somebody is don't be afraid to be afraid, right?
Mm-mm.
And then your calm is going to come from the confidence of knowing your value and
Right.
knowing what and make sure when you tell yourself you're a bright shining star and you're a pretty girl, make it true, right?
Right.
Like,
Yep.
and I'm talking professionally. I'm not saying from an appearance perspective. Like, I think
Yep.
everybody's beautiful. I mean, it's like, look at me for God's sakes. Jesus,
Yeah. Damn.
make it bringing mustaches back.
Yeah.
But I expect you to shave that stupid beard tomorrow. The
Yeah.
always turning it around. The
Shit.
just when you thought I was going to say something
Yeah.
profound, I say that. The but that's probably it. You know, and I don't, I'm an Italian, so I like to hear myself talk. But I think it's really it is you have to think about those things. So
Yeah. No, and I appreciate you sharing that because yeah, I think and I love you articulate it perfectly in the sense of one, understanding your own value, but there is like when those moments come, like I had a gym back in the day, and I think that was one of the biggest transition that I ultimately did before even moving to First Form. But there was like this exciting calm to where I knew I'd gotten to a point like building that
mm,
gym out was the the only thing I was going to do at that time, right? Like that was everything in my heart and soul and the people and the community, everything that we had built there. But it got to a point where it was, two partners, right? Like we had different visions and goals of where we were going. And instead of having the home implode because mom and dad didn't see eye to eye, it's like had to take the step back. And then I
sure.
knew throughout that was like, hey, what's going to be better for the community, right? And honestly, like the people who are there, because you've probably watched different companies implode because of leadership and different things of that nature. Like I didn't want that to happen to the facility we had. Um, but that was hard. You can ask my wife. That was one of the hardest things that I had done professionally in a long time was giving that away, right? But it was one of the greatest learning points of my life because I did have like I knew it would be good. I knew I had a there was like this calm confidence that came from it. It was like, we'll figure it out. But it's like the the uh the identity was a little bit lost for a moment there, right?
Mm.
But as soon as that door did close and I was like, yep, we're good, dude, it was amazing how fast other ones opened up, right? Like, and it just, you don't know, no different than I'm sure with OA defense. You said that and it reminded me of that moment to where it's like you shut that door and then other individuals who have been watching, following along within the story because you're so passionate in the roles, I'm sure that you do to where they wouldn't assume you maybe leaving from those different companies. But as soon as they hear that, it's like if you're as valuable as you say you are, right? I'm just a farm kid from Wisconsin, but I got a phone call like asking what my thoughts were about moving to St. Louis. And 3 months later, I was moving to St. Louis. And it's wild,
Oof.
right? So that like it's just
No
amazing
more
how fast.
Langenkugel for you.
Yeah, 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 right. But it's just crazy how fast those things can ultimately move, and it's cool to hear. Of course, you have more experience through that, and honestly, like from my perspective, in that is just you've made those different changes, and I love the aspect of like always growing, right? To where again, farm terminology, like with my dad and that, where just hey, you got to have another like notch in the belt. You can never have too many notches in the belt. Have those tools in your tool chest because that like it's not you just asking everyone else to solve your problems, fix your problems. Like you are there to be able to solve those own problems while also helping fix everyone else's around you when the neighbor calls, right?
You have to. I mean,
Um,
literally, and as you know, with the way you feel about it as well, there's a part of that. It's a little unfair when you kind of have that divine courage. The fearlessness of being able to go, yeah, man, it's going to work out. I really believe it's going to work out. There's a plan, right? And before I
y-
had that back in my life at the level it is now, it's the courage indirectly came from knowing your value. And
yeah,
understand is courage is not the absence of fear. It's what you do in spite of the fear, right? So it's
right.
it's literally you're not fearless, you're
Yeah,
fearful. and even though you're fearful, that's what makes it so deliberate. Even though you're afraid, even though you're apprehensive, even though you're cautious and you're wondering, oh my God, what am I going to do? The courage is to do it, right? Or even
Yeah.
if there's a chance, it's like, hell, I've told this team here, I said, if you fall, just fall forward for Pete's sake. It's like, and probably one of my mentors when I was at Staccato said, I don't care if you fail, just fail fast. Right?
Right. Yep.
uh,
Yep.
so
Dude, that's Matt. I appreciate you coming on, Tony. I really
Of
do.
course, man.
It's
Thank you for having me,
definitely,
dude. This has been all. I love the talk, man. I've always
yeah.
enjoyed watching what you're doing, and I enjoy the organization you guys are a part of. And I keep promising Jared that I'm going to get in good enough shape to come up there and work out.
Do you,
Uh,
oh my God. You need to just
Bro,
come.
listen,
You don't need
I'm
to be
not
in shape,
coming up. Listen, boy,
bro.
I'm not coming up there to just work out. I'm coming to dominate,
Oh,
okay?
okay.
Right?
Okay.
I'm
All
coming
right.
to crush souls. First form. Ooh, I'm going to go up there on a half a cup of water and smoke some onions. That's what I'm going to do, right?
Challenge
Confidence,
accepted.
courage.
Exactly.
Yes,
Yeah.
there
I
I go.
freaking love
Whew,
it. I
that's
love
why I
it.
haven't been there.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, um, dude, I guess I'm gonna close it out really before closing out. Um, one, for anyone who is listening and everyone who is listening, where if people are looking to connect with you, OA Defense, everything that you have going on, what's the best way to be able to kind of find you and your guys' company?
Yeah, so it's really simple. We're oadefense.com. That's our website. I'm pretty easy. It's just tony.pignato at oadefense.com.
Yep.
I'm on Instagram. I don't have a stage name. It's just Tony Pignato 1. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have, big nose mustache Italian or any I don't have a handle. It's just my name.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of us,
Handsome
so it's pretty
Italian.
easy. It might as well
Yeah.
be a handle because I think there's only one online, and that's me.
Yeah. Yeah.
For
Yeah.
20 years in the Army, I was the only Pignato. That's a true story. I was the only Pignato in the Army, so it was like,
There you
cool. I
go.
was like, Army Google, it's just one dude comes up. So,
One dude, that's him.
but again, yeah, reach if there's anything I can do for anybody. But again, please, if you see our team, if you have any questions about our guns, you want to know where to pick up the product, or if you want to talk about our company, or
Yeah.
if you happen to be through North Carolina, you want to come by and do a tour. We're kind of a small place. We're about 20,000 square feet, but we got a really cool team. And every one of them are they're just such great people to meet. It's like that's
Yeah.
why I'm so excited. I want to go to First Form. I'm going to go there when it's cooler, like in the fall.
I agree, dude. It's 101 degrees today.
I'm out.
Like, yeah.
No, I'm out,
Yeah.
dude.
No.
I sit on my
Yeah.
back porch in the morning, and it's between 68 and 70. I turn on the ceiling fan. I drink my coffee. I watch my fox squirrels. I've got like five fox squirrels that I've got names for them, and their bodies are this big.
It's wild.
And I feed them. I put corn and stuff out there. I feed these little bastards, and they'll sit there like groundhogs and eat and look at me. Right?
Just
Yeah,
watch you.
I've got Bandit. I've got Zorro. I've got the Gray Boys. I've got Ninja. Like Ninja's all black. It's got a white face and a white tail. That's it, right? I've got Zorro, who's just got a black mask. I've got Bandit, who's got an entire black head, right? So the rest of his body's gray, but they're monsters, man. They're so cool, man. I love it. I'm growing a garden, right? I've got a great big garden. It's really cool. I'm producing the hell out of some crooked neck squats.
You got chickens yet?
No, I have an HOA that does allow chickens, and I'm super proud of that.
Oh.
I don't want. You can have a garden. You can have a dog. I'm out on the chickens because you know what comes with chickens?
Goats.
You know what comes with goats? Stupid dogs that bark till like 3 o'clock in the morning. No, bro. I'm out. I'm all about the HOA. Yeah. I'm all about it. Nope. Cars in the street, tow that shit. I'm done. No, I don't. No, I've been in those neighborhoods.
We're already there.
No. Keep your farm on the farm.
Dude, do you guys have any events or anything coming up? Or
yeah, check out our website. So at oadefense.com, you'll see a bunch of our events. What we got. We're on the road, man. We've got such a great team. We just added Jessica Hook McKenzie, who I've known for a long time. She's a three gunner, and she shot for Beretta for the last 5 years. We got Heather Eckhart, formerly 3-Gun Heather, who's our national vice president. We got Juan and Andrew and Nate and Tim, our business development team, and they're all fantastic personalities. If you just get a chance to see any of those guys, you're immediately gonna walk up and love them. They're
Yeah.
just wonderful, wonderful people, and our headquarters team's just full of just heroes every day, guys that are just dragging it across the line, sometimes kicking and screaming, but they're doing a great job. So
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Well,
thanks, man.
yeah, I would say yeah. If you're in the area, check it out, and then definitely those different events. One, like definitely, if you have the opportunity, like get one of the guns in your hand because it is an awesome. To your point, it shoots and it hits the target, and it is a smooth shot. So it's definitely
Thank
I
you.
need to get out and shoot it more. It was definitely fun doing the tactical games with it, and
Well, I
hopefully be able
told
to do
Jared
some
I'll
more
come
here.
out there and
Bro,
I'll
we
bring
need
a
to
bunch of ammo and we'll just go train.
just
That's
go
all.
do
We'll
it.
just go shoot for a whole day.
Yep. Yeah, and that's dude. You need to really come down like one of the. It'd be like a fun day, like training, but also they have like the rage matches that happen that we go to over at the Intrepid Defense. Alex and that whole crew, again, another phenomenal slate of individuals. But when we went into the last rage one, and it was Jarrett actually was able to come out and shoot, and we all went and shot together, and it is so like Jared is literally an Energizer bunny, right? And in like all out, and it's like workouts that we do. It's like, hey, 3, 2, 1, go, and you just execute everything to it. Well, a lot of those matches are like, hey, run, shoot, run, shoot. Like you're just going through the different stages. And dude, Jared was by the end of it, his nerves still hadn't run off like the first round. And I mean, I'm no better at it. Like you get into it, get nerves. We were like the first two guys in our heat and like squad to go. And it was probably the best course of it, and went through shot. Jerry went so fast throughout all of it. He hit all the targets, right? And did really, really well, but he was like traveling so quick. Right at the end, we had 3 silhouettes that were literally 4 feet in front of him on the ground that he was supposed to go through and clear as well. And it's like, nope, those weren't even there. It was like, got done. I was like, Mike, look down, look down. He did look down. He like closed the bag, like showed clear, and then went. And he's like, oh shoot. He was like still like amped up throughout all of it. It's like, all right, got the nerves out, and then now I can go. But
Yeah.
dude, we had a blast.
Oh, good
It'd be
time.
fun.
I'm looking
So,
forward to it. I really got to get out there. I want to take a trip anyway,
yeah, it'd be a
so come
blast.
out and see you guys. I just
Yeah.
haven't been to the facility, and listen, man, I eat your, freaking that salted peanut butter little square thing. Dude, I eat 3 of those a day. I want to be an astronaut now. Like that's all I wanted. I love, and I brought it in the shop, and so we've got it all in our break room.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. It's literally like I feel like I'm Willy Wonka, right? Because the guys are always walking around like I'm like, hey Tony, what's up? They got a meat stick. Like we go into meetings, everybody's got like a meat stick. Like, what's that? Oh, it's jalapeno heat, dude. It's really good.
It's really good. It's really good.
Hysterical, dude. I got when I say fueled by firstborn, like they're like Jesus loves the little children, red and yellow, black and white, short, fat, tall, skinny. I got them all. They're all up on the firstborn, man. So they're
all
fueled by
Kool-Aid.
firstborn. Yeah,
Love it.
Well, cool, man. Well, thank you,
right.
dude.
Hey, appreciate you coming on. Definitely everyone listening, check them out. If you guys ever hitting up, have questions too, like this is going to, of course, go on all platforms with the podcast for all the listeners, and then also over on YouTube as well. Definitely comment section, any questions you guys have, definitely hit them up in there. If I don't know it, I'll definitely relay it over to Tony. And yeah, just appreciate you being here. Appreciate being you who you are, the company you guys are building. Excited to see where you go. So
same. I cannot repeat the same back to you enough. I really appreciate everything you guys have done for me, not only personally but for our team, and I look forward to continuing to support each other on this journey.
100%. But so with that, guys, we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Take care.